I mentioned these bullish calls we got today on the cruise lines. Barclays has upgraded Carnival, Norwegian, and Royal Caribbean, all to overweight. This is a big call, considering where we are. Just coming off that story that Sue ended her report with, John Najarian, about this pickup in cases in the UK. We've got a pickup in cases in a number of different places. You own Carnival?
I've owned Carnival for a while here, Scott. I added to it on this Barclays call. I also bought Norwegian Cruise Lines. And one of the reasons here, Scott, was that when you look at the bonds, for instance, those Carnival bonds that were priced at $99 with an 11.25% coupon or something like that, they shot all the way through 112, maybe 115. That's been a while ago when those were issued. I think that they announced that one back in April, Scott, and I bought those as well. And one of the reasons I bought them was I think our smart guy, Mark Lazary, was buying those bonds, and he put me into those basically through his enthusiasm for it. So I do think that they see a recovery, Scott, when you price in Armageddon, which many of these in the travel industry stocks, whether it's airlines, cruise lines, whether it's hotels and so forth, many folks have been basically priced to almost zero. And I think there's still value in many of their assets. They just sold 2 boats, Scott, Carnival did, which is in line with what they said that they would be doing. So they're getting rid of some of the less efficient older boats and, you know, holding on to the rest of their fleet. I think this is something that Barclays is right about, and that's why I was comfortable adding to it.
Okay, so they go to $31 on Carnival from 18. They go to 26 from 17 on Norwegian. They go to 68 from 50 at Royal Caribbean. Those are all sizable target increases. Kramer, by the way, on Twitter earlier today called Norwegian, quote, best in show. Courtney, I'm calling the bottom Gibson. You bought more. You have to be, given the stocks that you're buying, you're telling us you bought, you have to be. You bought more Delta Airlines.
I did buy more Delta too, but I also already own Delta, right? And so I do also believe that Delta is best in class, right? So if there's an airline that you're going to buy, it's that one. They've done everything right. If you're flying an airline, you get on that plane and you feel really, really comfortable. But even on the cruise lines, and I'll tell a little story if you have a second here. So my mother-in-law, who I love dearly, is one of those boomers.
Well, you better say that about your mother-in-law.
I do love her, though. I do love her.
I know, but you threw that in there. And we all know why you threw that in there.
Of course I do. I got to live in my house. But she's an amazing person. My point is, though, she's one of those boomers that when she retired, she went on an around-the-world cruise. She's already planned her cruise for next year, and we don't even know what the CDC is going to say on the 30th as it relates to reopening, right? She has a group of 50 boomers that she's been on cruises with that cannot wait. The pent-up demand is real. And candidly, if you just, and John just gave you all the fundamental reasons to be in these names, let me give you this. You get on one of those cruise ships, it's captive. They can go to an island that they own, that too is captive. They have the ability to control the potential for leakage in and out of the cruise ships as it relates to keeping people healthy. Richard Fain, who I know incredibly well, doing an incredible job running that company, I know that when they decide and when the government decides that we can allow people back on these cruise ships again, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that people are safe and healthy. And so I don't own the name right now. I think Barclays is 100% right on the calls. The management team and leadership of these cruise companies are going to do everything they can to make sure that when people are allowed to go out, like my mother-in-law, they're going to be safe. So I think, if you get in these names, John, once again, sir, hats off to you. You picked a good one, I think.
All right, highs of the day on Delta. Weiss, maybe you're too negative, Weiss. Maybe you're too negative. Maybe you should be looking at some of these reopened trades. Maybe the cruise lines and the airlines, which you have no interest in being in.
Weiss was in Delta, though.
Sounds like he's still pretty fully invested.
Yeah.
When we get done worrying about COVID for cruise lines, we can just go back to worrying about Legionnaire disease on that. So those are petri dishes, and they can't control them, what's going on there. So look, the difference between the cruise lines now and the airlines now, between now and pre-COVID, is that they leveraged all their assets, their gates, their mileage plans, everything. So as an equity holder, you have no protection. So you can't equate owning the debt that has all the protection with owning the equity. So I look at the perspective, it's a gutsy call. Over a long, long term, it's probably going to be right, but I've got other places that'll be just as right, that'll make just as much money with protection as an equity holder. So I'm not playing there. In terms of the analyst follows the airlines, follows the cruise ships. So they've got to come out with something. That's their perspective. It's not the perspective against the rest of the market, the other 7,000 stocks. I've got that perspective. Cruise lines and airlines are not where I choose to be. Speculative plays, you can own a little, but major positions, that's not for me.
Okay. All right, coming up.
Balance.
What's that?
It's balance, right? So I got my tech, I got my financials, and I've got my Delta Airlines. So, Steve, I hear you loud and clear, but Delta is going to come back, and I can put it in my back pocket and wait, and just wait.